Well, continuation of the Dark Log from the Diary of the Griever named John Weaver, which is me, regarding Wednesday, the 18th of March, 2026. And we were talking about Cuba and Trump and the Nimitz. Now, it'll take him some time to get the Nimitz redeployed into the Caribbean waters. She's still heading for decommissioning, but they're going to forestall it until next year. Until the things kind of die down a bit, or unless we are already getting into an engagement of war. Nimitz is nuclear powered, which means it doesn't need liquid fuel except for aircraft squadrons that it still has. Not to mention, still needs supplies to run as it's doing its circumnavigating the South American continent in order to get to the Caribbean waters. Now, if Trump still wants to go for Cuba, it's going to have to deal with the Cuban government and the people. He's already squeezing the people dry by denying Venezuelan oil, which powered electricity on that island nation. He's already squeezing the people enough anyway. Every once in a while there'll be a flotilla or something coming out of Cuba in order to escape the island, in order to escape what was going on over there. The other people are just waiting to see if the United States is trying to push its own agenda down on that island nation. Cuba doesn't have the military force necessary to withstand if we actually had a complete naval blockade in the area, which we do. But they'll do whatever they can. If they happen to secede to Trump's demands, that means Trump's getting more and more he's getting more and more power in the area to say what he wants done in the areas, in the whole Caribbean nation. There are certain islands out there that are under different flagged nations. They still got British, they got French, maybe a couple other countries that still got their own flags for their own territories out there. But we also have the United States carving up a bit of territory out there too, in the Caribbean waters. A way of telling the Caribbean, actually, the Central and South America, that don't mess with the United States because this is our part of the world. Yeah, if that's the case, then how come we went after Iran? Can somebody tell me the logic on this one? There goes my dog again. Can somebody tell me the logic about cruise missiles attacking Iran and killing kids? We've got investigations happening from different sources trying to confirm that there were tomahawks that blasted schools and killed kids and civilians in Iran for no damn reason. And Iran went nuts by retaliating against U.S. forces using technology and satellites, using satellites from Russia to pinpoint areas that they needed to attack. And Israel, I think, is, if I'm getting the information correctly, egged on Trump to take on Iran. Netanyahu really wants Iran wiped off the face of the earth. And in order to do that, he's got to wipe out the regimes and the infrastructure. And he had been doing that. He's still working on it. Like, I got my things to take care of at home. The United States is losing its own form of credibility out in the rest of the world because Trump deems it and demands it. And yet we got people demanding action from Congress of getting rid of Trump, but they won't do it. The Republican Congress, both chambers, won't do this. They won't remove Trump. They got Vance to deal with. After that, I don't know. Who else is next on the hit parade that they want to get rid of? Stephen Miller wasn't approved by Congress. He was just an employee. But he still wielded a hell of a lot of power by having several departments under his thumb. And for a year and a half, almost coming up on the half, that he'd been screwing around with the American people left and right. He already had his chance in 2016. Now he's overblown on his ego. Pam Bundy, who was trying to be the darling gem of Attorney General, and she's under threat of impeachment. She had been certified by the Republican Congress. I'm not quite sure if we are in a civil war without the armaments going after each other. But I know the ideology is going after each other's. Wait, give me a second here. Some mornings it becomes a difficult thing to deal with, especially when I get a dog that wants constant 24/7, and when I can get her to sleep, it's a miracle. But when she wakes up, it's harder than hell to get her back to sleep again. Especially when the things I'm trying to talk about needed to be talked about. Now, growing up, I had come across stories concerning about the Bay of Pigs, which was a CIA operation in trying to remove Castro from office back in the late 50s. And unfortunately, John F. Kennedy, president back then, inherited the mess. It wasn't attacking Cuba after that. But they were going to be establishing a United States base of Guantanamo Bay out there. Jump it to a century, and here we are. We're in 2026 right now. We have military presence. We have a prison out there. We can land forces at Guantanamo. There have been talks and rumors about getting a Marine squadron, or actually a platoon out there, or maybe worse, an expeditionary force. We've already got about, nearly between 2,000 to 5,000 going on a troop ship or two over to Strait of Hormuz area. Just to be there, just in case. And we can't get enough confirmation from the damn Congress whether or not they approve this shit or not, because some of the Republicans are saying, yes, let's blow them all to hell. Not their U.S. Marines, but Iranians. They want the war. Got the war hawks waking up saying, yes, we must. Lindsey Graham's one of those assholes. Cruz is one of those assholes. Graham's going apeshit on this one. He's kissing ass on Trump left and right. He wants to see this war. Because I don't know what's going on with Lindsey Graham throughout these decades. He's lost his fucking mind a long time ago. So is Cruz. Cruz is... I don't know. Cruz represents Texas, not Cuba, not Florida, not anywhere else but Texas, but he still wants a war as well. An opportunist he is. So here we are, going to be blown away or invading Cuba, according to what the rumors are, if it's true or not. But what I kept thinking in my head is, if it takes about maybe 1 or 2 months to round the corner of South America's tip and headed over to the Cuban waters, would Trump leave Cuba in a dire situation for a couple of months without power, without electricity to run, having their medical facilities crippled, food supplies shortened, and no energy, or very limited energy because of limited oil reserves they have. I kept thinking what the strategy is. If I was going to be an asshole like Trump, let's just say if I'm going to be an asshole like Trump, and I wanted to make sure that I've gotten a military presence out there, I've already got several assets out in the Caribbean waters that could be used to target Cuba. I've already got one carrier group out there that's still off the coast of Venezuela, but because we're still in the Caribbean waters, it's still in attack mode. I mean, it can be used to send out aircraft against Cuba. Now, when it comes down for land, if we have any more troop ships, are we going to be using those as a stick? And the carrot would be telling the Cuban government to surrender, according to Trump, because he says he can do anything. He's empowered to do anything by breaking international laws, because he feels the laws do not govern him, including the laws of the United States. They don't govern him. He governs the law. And we have a Congress that allows it. Currently in the Senate chamber, they're going to be debating either today or tomorrow about the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act is the voting registration situation where we have to produce certain types of ID to vote nationwide. But each state, according to the U.S. Constitution, if we're still following it, each state has its own rules and regulations and laws governing their own voter ID registration and how they allow their polling places to allow U.S. citizens to vote, naturalized or birthright. But they're not. Some of them are not a lot stringent. A few of them may be dead stringent, or others may not be. What they're worrying about is voter suppression by disallowing districts, certain types of people, not to vote. The Constitution allows everybody to vote who is birthright and also naturalized. But what we're seeing is the racial discrimination happening all over the place. This Heritage Foundation crap is still trying to produce its white supremacy shit all over people. I mean, they've been doing that for decades. They've been trying to push the agendas through the Republican Party in order to have its own way of governing the people, its own version of Christian Sharia law in a format. Hell, we allow pastors to go into the Pentagon and start telling people how they're going to be worshiping in one form or another. Now we got the invasion of religion into our government system, which the Constitution does not allow. But according to the regime we've got right now, everything's up on that one, isn't it? I mean, it's no wonder everybody else is having a conniption fit who are left-wing thinking. I don't blame them. Even the centrists are having a field day over it. But the far right, they want more of it. They want to rule the world in one form or fashion, or at least their version of it. How to screw over our allies, trading partners, and everything that we need for our own country's survival including food, materials, and power. We did this Make America Great Again, Make America First again. We're supposed to be number one and everybody else can kiss our ass. Well, Trump's making that possible because we voted his shit in. We have never, ever accepted responsibility, transparency, or accountability for our stupidity in November 2024, or let alone 2016. But we can deal with Trump and his belly aching about the 2020 elections being rigged, and he still wants to prosecute people over that because he wasn't in office during that time, and he still wants to get. But he's still in office right now. This is 2026. So he's going to find one way or another to screw over the election system and then blame the Democrats for it. That's what he did back in 2020. And prior to that, 2016, to blame the Democrats for that. A vindictive child and mentally deficient person we voted into office. And anybody else following his own suit. This is what we've got. If our deceased have been aware in their ghostly forms, watching how our country is going downhill, my God, we'd be invaded and haunted throughout eternity through this. Trump doesn't care about what's happening. He only cares about his own damn ego. And when you go to war, you're warring over two things: resources, whatever they may be, or whoever they may be, and then ego. The primary force of a war is ego. History keeps showing us this, but we keep screwing this one over left and right. How the hell are we not supposed to be able to deal with this shit? So Cuba, you may be next. After you, I don't know who's next. Central America may be next. Mexico may be next. If we're not securing trade at all to keep our economies going, then it looks like we are engaging the world in a world war. And we're just waiting for the nukes to happen, or is it going to be economic world war that we're going to be having, where everything else collapses? I mean, our own country and several other countries collapsing because of our insanity that we voted in office. And we did this to ourselves. I have to keep recording these things like this on some occasions. I have to because I need it for my own stability, but also I need it for posterity of what we screwed over. Putin's laughing his head off. He's still dealing with the Ukraine situation. NATO doesn't know what the hell to do about us, and neither does the United Nations. They keep hearing Trump screaming and yelling, we don't need your help, we don't want your help, but we need your help, we want your help regarding the Strait of Hormuz and Iran. But if you guys are not going to do anything about it, I'll give you a finger on that one. Tell you to go fuck yourselves. We did this to ourselves. The thing is, what the fuck are we going to do about it? What the fuck are we going to do about it? That being said.